Well done. Bonus points for you. Jack, how far did I drive on my trip?
18,897.71 kilometers.
Holy crap.
Now, just out of curiosity, to end the discussion right now, Jack, why did you indeed include 2 decimal places?
Because you actually have 2 decimal places and come longer.
Yeah, just 'cause, right? It's an arbitrary decision. He rounded it off to 2 decimal places. So,
Ow.
Nick? Of course, Jack did that by doing 11,745 times the kilometers he wanted over the miles he had, which was 1 and 1.609. Then, of course, he did 11,745 times 1.609 and then chose to use 2 decimal places. And that is indeed right. How long did my trip take me? And I want the answer in days, hours, and minutes. So are decimals allowed? No. 9 days, 6 hours. Some people say 20 minutes. Some people say 4 minutes. Which is it?
It was 9.25 being that. There's an equal amount of hours, and then they did 24 hours off and 1/4.
I understand. I understand. I understand exactly what you were doing. What Sam is saying is he took the distance I traveled. I don't know how many decimal places, if any, he used.
I used 0.71.
0.71 as well. Okay. And then he divided it by 85, which got him a number. 18,897.71 divided by 85. Because, of course, he was looking for the hours driven. 22.326. 222.326. So, where did you get your 0.25? So, you divided by 24. Absolutely. Because, of course, what Sam is doing is remembering he is going straight to the shortcut. But really what he is doing is remembering that this is hours and he wanted days and he had hours. So 1 day was 24 hours. So he divided by 24. Now the problem here, and this is a very important distinction that you all need to be made aware of. If I take that answer of 222.326 and I divide by 24, which was what I was going to do, I get 9.263. Now Sam says he got 9.25. How is that possible? Aiden. It depends at the very beginning on how many decimal places you choose, right? So really, 11,745 times 1.609, 7.1. That didn't give us any choice, did it? Pretty much had to be 7.1, right? So what happens is, the problem with math class, and the problem for me as the math teacher, is depending on where you as the math student choose your decimals, you're going to get different answers, aren't you? Which is why it is so important that you show me what you are doing. Okay? So, we set it up here, and indeed, we got, we saw it on there somewhere, 9.2635833. Right? So, what would you, Jashin, round that off to? This line right here. You would use 9.26. Everyone okay with that? Now, what if you used all those decimals? Would your final answer be slightly different? Would that be okay? Of course it would, because what am I concerned with? the work. If you understand what is happening, I don't care where you round stuff off to. Okay? Because this is not life and death. This is not physics. Right? This is not, I'm building a roller coaster. I think it's pretty close to an inch over there. I'm just going to leave it. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. So, anyways, we got 9.26 days. Now, is that an okay answer? But it's an okay answer, right? If I asked you how long did I drive, say you drove a little more than 9 days. Is that cool? I mean, what does that tell you? It was a long trip, right? But in this case, I'm saying I want actually days, hours, and minutes, right? So I've got my days covered. 9 days. Now what do I do with that? That is 0.26 of a day, right? And what's the next level I want? Hours. So I got to multiply that by the hours over the days that I already have. 1 day is 24 hours. So I got to do 26 times 24, right? 0.26 times 24. Now, Sam knows that 0.26 is close to 0.25, right? So this has to be around 0.25 of a day, which Sam knows is to be about 6, right? So we know it's going to be 6 something before we even go to our calculator, right? So if we had set it up wrong and we got a number that was different than 6, what would we know we had done? Something wrong. Would we believe our calculator? Yeah, you all believe your calculator, because the number one answer for why you got something wrong is my calculator said so. You shouldn't. I know it's true, TJ. I've been teaching longer than you've been alive. Oh. Okay, so when you do that on your calculator, what happens? 0.26 times 24. And you get 6.24. Oh, all right. So 6 hours. 6.24. Now, that 0.24 is hours, yes? So I need that in minutes. Minutes over hours. 60 minutes for 1 hour. So I got to do 0.24 times 60. But again, Sam, it is close to 0.25, yes? Which is close to a quarter of an hour, which is 15 minutes. So this answer, before we even go to our calculators, we know it's got to be around 15 minutes. Go to our calculator, check it. 0.24 times 60, 14.4 minutes. So 14 minutes. Could we have done the 0.4?
Yeah.
It would have been 0.4 times what? 60 to get the seconds, if I really wanted to be annoying. Right? 24 seconds?
How many milliseconds?
The 14.4 times 60 worked out to 24 exactly? Wow. I've never actually bothered to go past the minutes. Huh? Oh yeah, the 0.4, I mean. It worked out exactly to 24? Sweet. Okay, everybody good? Ease, peasy, lemon squeezy, right? All right. All right. One of my favorite characters in movie history.
That's my rating.
All right.
Yeah.
It's Matthew McConaughey. He's also one of my actual favorite actors, too. I quite like his work. This is page 25. Please check your work. Everything in blue. Now, remember, we talked yesterday about times when it's okay to leave something as a decimal. So for 1A, some of you will have 7 feet 1 inch. Some of you will have 7.08 feet. I don't care. Picking up what I'm putting down? Because once again, it shows you can convert. Okay? Any questions about those ones? There shouldn't be. This was straight conversion. It's one calculation. But remember, what is important here? Reasonableness of your answer, right? You know kilometers are shorter than miles. So if you have a measurement in miles, your conversion to kilometers must end up a bigger number, right? Sim sim salabim. There's number 2. You're a happy young man, aren't you, Nick? That's what I like to see. Three, 4, 5 doesn't fit on the page. There's 3 and 4. By the way, thank you, class, for not making fun of my typo.
I did.
Yes, I know you did.
I was just really confused. What is a trick?
I know. Because, of course, spell check doesn't pick that up. Because trick is a word.
Yeah.
So let that be a lesson to you.
I just thought it was like a literally someone magic trick that involved you like being really high up. Like, that's cool.
Let this be a lesson to you. You should proofread before you're going to put something out in public. However, I know it's there, yet I still do not change it. Because I use it to check if my class is going to be mean one year or if they're going to be nice. Most of you were nice, except one of you.
Sam. We should jump him.
My other class, all 30 of them were nice.
Come on, Sam, you're killing the class average again.
I think you already did that for us,
They just did the work without any comments
I bet Sam didn't even do
at all.
I did the work. It was easy work.
It was fairly easy work. Do not drive your truck under that bridge.
Why not?
Well, what if
Not.
my truck's only a meter high? Then can I?
Yes.
Cool.
Go for it.
The last place my son had an audition was right beside the Lamborghini dealership in Vancouver.
Did you buy one?
Yes, my son's $500 a day TV career has led us to go and buy a $300,000 car.
What show is he on?
He's going to be on the 100. Didn't I tell you this?
No.
He's on the 100.
In the next season.
That's neat.
What type of cars were you looking at again?
No.
Lamborghinis.
Woo!
We were just looking at them. But if any of you have ever seen a Lamborghini or been near them up close, they are only like 1.5 meters tall. They're crazy. They're like this tall.
And then you can put him on airbags.
Oh, I've seen a McLaren up close. It's smaller than a thousand.
Yeah. The McLaren, the one where you sit in the middle?
No, it's not.
The F1? Oh. Yeah, the F1 where you sit in the middle, it's like a go-kart. I think
That's
so.
something I can get behind.
The F1 is like the only supercar.
I love the one.
We also drove by the electric car place in Vancouver that's selling those 3-wheeled cars for one person.
Oh, that place.
They're like a motorcycle in a bubble.
No.
Huh?
They're like this.
Yeah, but they're backwards.
I would
2
not-
wheels in the front, one in the back.
Not invested in that.
It's the same as the Can-Am Spider, but you've got a cage around you, and it's electric instead of gas.
It's not one of those blue cars.
It's a little like Mr. Bean's car. They've had those in Europe forever, 3-wheeled cars.
Which Lamborghini were you looking at?
A green one, Sam, I don't know. I looked at a green one, a black one, a gray one, an orange one, and a blue one.
Which was the coolest.
Because it doesn't matter. The green one had a spoiler. It looked like a transformer.
Oh, so it does.
No.
Yeah, it does.
No, because I'm never going to get any of them, so it doesn't
The
matter.
green one was either an SUV
But my son thought it was pretty cool that the engine was in the back.
or full on.
He was like, what the hell is that?
Can you open the doors?
No.
Because the
And my son even tried to touch, like, get your hands off that boy.
You're gonna break it.
Yeah. Even though it's parked out in the street, I didn't want to take a
was
chance.
there bigger ones or smaller ones?
There were 3. The blue one and the green one were fairly long and wide, and the orange one was long and wide. But the black one, the red one, and the silver one were shorter and narrower.
Which one
You
was
said
you
the
buy?
green one was
I liked the blue one, but it didn't have a spoiler. I liked the blue one's color better, but the green one had a spoiler.
You get the green one.
I bet I could get a spoiler put onto the blue. You're paying $300,000 for a car. You get a damn spoiler. You get what you
the
want.
green one was an Aventador SV, which means it's like
The Aventador?
500,000.
Okay.
Oops. He still doesn't care.
Okay, Sam. If the car is worth more than $10,000, I don't care.
Why?
There's like
Because if you pay more than $10,000 for a car, all you have is the same thing I have that gets you from point A to point B, except you spent more than you needed to.
But if you spend money,
Who cares? I'm married with children, Jake. Who do I gotta look good for? My sucker wife said I do 20 years ago. I don't gotta impress nobody.
this water for spending money on your car.
Some
That's why I have no problem with buying a pair of jeans from Superstore. Because they cost $20. The same jeans at another store cost $100. Guess what they do? They go on your legs, one leg at a time. They cover your goods. Good job. You spent $100, I spent $20.
Mr. Myers, what type of car do you drive?
I drive a car, I drive a Ford Focus wagon, and I drive a Toyota Sienna minivan.
Maybe you should get
You know why?
minivan.
Yeah, spoiler on the minivan?
No, airbag.
I do have to I have to put airbags in the minivan because if you tow anything with the Sienna, the tow hitch is so low because it's got stow and go seats. I should put airbags in the back.
Airbags are for the weak.
No, I yeah.
No person will get in that accident.
All right.
Mr. Myers, Megan of the next mod.
Shut up, Sam.
There is the river question. I'm going to come back to number 8 because number 8 is actually a little bit difficult for some people. I'm going to come back to number 8. And you had to jump 27, slightly over 27 and a half inches off the ground, which you think is not very tall, but it actually is pretty high. What about miles?
No, the answer is miles and I got wrong.
What? What are you talking about?
Meters.
Like this one?
Yeah.
Well, then maybe you should walk over and get it. Walk of shame. Everyone's staring at you, Rihanna. All 30 of them. No, there's only 29 in here. Well, I count. I'm 30.
Yeah.
I'm a person. Last I checked.
No, you're a teacher. You're an alien.
Okay, so what was weird? Now, obviously, Sam had no problem with number 8, but what was a little bit weird about number 8? Yeah, there's 2 different ways you could do it, and there's actually more conversions and comparisons going on than one looks at first glance, yes? Because this is a comparison, isn't it? 89 cents per yard. These guys are selling 93 cents per meter. So you had to make another conversion, didn't you? There's more than one way you could have done it. The way I chose to do it was I said, okay, if those guys were selling it for 89 cents for a yard, then it must be 89 cents for 9144 of a meter.
Yeah. Woo. Wait, I got that right.
Let's go surfing. Go free.
whoa.
Oh, that part.
Magic. Right? Everybody understands why that is, yes? Because this distance, 0.9144 of a meter, is a yard. Everybody cool? Now, if I'm going to compare them, I have to compare meters to meters, don't I? But these people are selling it for 93 cents for 1 meter, not for 0.9144 of a meter. You with me? So I had to find out if these guys were selling it by the 1 meter, I need their price, don't I? Do I know their price? No. So in math, if you don't know something, what do you give it? A variable, right? So we always choose x. So then we have to solve for x here, yes? And of course, you all remember how to do that when you have fraction equals fraction. Cross, multiply, and divide, right? What are the numbers that cross? The ones that match up. So it was 0.89 times 1 divided by 0.9144. And that got you something like 97, I think. So these guys are 97 cents a meter. These guys are 93 cents a meter. So, of course, you would buy it from the warehouse. Right? Right. Delicious. So, is everybody good with conversions? Any questions from any of our work up till now? No, there shouldn't be. Because we really only learned one thing, didn't we? Want over have. And then we practiced it. And it's useful, and it can be used, as is proven from these exercises, for converting anything. Right? We did time, no problem. We did money, no problem. We did distances, no problem. We did weight, no problem. It's always the same thing, yeah? All right. Now, I did promise that the quiz would be later in the class.
It's not later in the class, Jack.
No. I meant later in total in the class, Sam. Now, the other class needed 15 minutes. No, I lie. 20 minutes to do the 12-question quiz. Does that sound fair to you guys?
Yes.
Okay. And I want to mark it and talk about it. Class ends at... 105 or some crap like that. 101. So I want to be marking or doing that quiz. I need 10 minutes to mark it, which is 12:50. You need 20 minutes to do it 12:30. So I got 20 spare minutes right now. So what I want to do is I actually want to do the introduction to our next thing. We're not going to do any new math because that might confuse the issue. But I do want to discuss so everybody is very comfortable with what we are going to start talking about mathematically tomorrow. Okay? So if everybody would be so kind as to flip in their books to page 20, I want to say 7. Surface area of prisms and pyramids. That, ladies and gentlemen, is my, as of right now, favorite font. I just love that font. It's called Cocktail Bubbly.
Which one do you not like?
Which one's your favorite? I mean, your least favorite, besides Comic Sans?
Oh, pretty much everything that's... I'm not a big fan of the fancy ones that I have downloaded, you mean? Or of regular ones?
Like, of the fancy ones, which are your least favorite?
The fancy ones that I've downloaded, I haven't been very happy with... just give me a sec here. I need my list of fonts. Let's see. I haven't been very happy with...
Oh, do you like Joker?
Joker Man I have a lot of fun with. I don't like Bats and Dragons. I find it very hard to read. Not a fan of that, but I keep it around. You guys are seeing a bunch of my secret ones that are going to show up later, so I'm turning it away.
So, wait, what's your least favorite of the regular fonts? Besides Comic Sans.
I think Comic
No, I like the classic look of Times New Roman. I'm not a fan of Helvetica. I'm not a fan of Courier.
What would Helvetica hold?
All right.
What about the West End or different language?
Those are the best.
Okay, before we go on, we need to make sure we're all on the same page for a moment. The first thing we need to talk about is a reminder of what we've already spoken of. Up until now, except for that one question about the shed, what kind of measuring have we been doing?
Length.
Those are the systems. We have been measuring mostly lengths, haven't we? How many dimensions is a length? One. Because it is a linear measurement, yes? Right? This elastic band in my hand, if I stretch it out, the distance from point A to point B is a straight line, yes? It has no other dimension but the distance that it has traveled, yes? You would all define that as a length, yes? Everyone agree? What if I turn it this way? It is a height. Some said height, and Sam, what did you say? When I turned it this way, what did you call it? Okay. I thought I heard somebody say width, which is fine, because that's the length, so that must be a width. Jake, why did you say height?
I just know it's height.
Pardon?
I don't know. It looks like height.
You say it looks like height because it went up,
Yeah.
right? To be perfectly honest. What if I stretch it this way?
Scary.
I'm not going to let go of it in either direction, although it would be funny if I let go with my left hand, then it would smack me in the nose. And if I let go with my right hand, it would, I don't know where it would go. Don't worry, Lexi, I'm not going to do it. But you're wearing glasses. You'll be fine.
Do it.
No.
Find out.
No, because it's being recorded, and somebody will say, "Oh my God, he just launched an elastic in Lexi's eye," and somebody will hear it and be like, "Oh my God, teacher in Van." Then it'll be viral. Teacher in Abbotsford, BC, abuses students.
Watch it. I heard it here.
Right? Heard it here first. Yes.
Just block my eye. Dude.
So the point I'm trying to make is, no matter where I swing this thing around, how many dimensions does it have?
3.
One, because it's a linear measurement. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Now how many dimensions does it have?
2.
4.
4, 5, 6.
2.
Why is it 2, Sam?
Does it have 1 time this way, 1 time this way?
Excellent. What if I turn it this way?
2.
What if I turn it this way?
2.
This way?
2.
This way?
2.
What if I stood on my head?
2.
Excellent.
Can you
Right.
do that?
Of course you can, Riley.
What if you still have your head? You might have to go to the hospital.
Huh? No, I'm not that old yet. There is that song, "You Are Old, Father William," the young man said.
It's like, if you stand on your head and you fall,
I wouldn't fall.
do it.
No. So, everyone's cool? Two dimensions, yeah? Okay, good. So we're all aware of what a dimension is, yes? Okay. In math class, how many dimensions with how many dimensions will we be dealing? 3. What are the 3 dimensions that we always talk about? Length, width, and height, right? Everybody cool? Length, width, height. Easy peasy. Do we ever have another name for the 3rd dimension?
3D.
Tall.
Squared. Or no, not squared. Sorry.
Cube.
No. Depth. Right? We often talk about the 3rd dimension as depth. Everybody cool? Length, width, height, length, width, depth. Everyone's good with that, right? If you talk to theoretical physicists, they'll tell you, oh, there's an infinite number of dimensions. Or another theoretical physicist will say there's 56 dimensions. And another theoretical physicist will say, dimensions don't really exist, man. Right? Some people argue time is a dimension. Right? So, if you wish to learn more about dimensional theory, you learn about it on your own time. In math class, we talk about 3 dimensions, length, width, and height. Everybody cool? Excellent. All right. So, we are going to be working with some things that you did in grade 9 and some new things. We're going to open with stuff that you did in grade 9. But before I even do that, I want to have a discussion about this piece of paper. Not what's printed on it, the actual piece of paper itself. How many dimensions does this piece of paper have? How many, Aiden? 3. What are they? Length, a width, and it indeed has a depth, doesn't it? Right? That depth is almost negligible, isn't it? Yes, Brianna? I know, you could argue that. And that's where this next discussion is going. Okay? This piece of paper in my hand right now has 3 dimensions, as Aiden says. Does anybody know how long it is? No. They're 11 inches long, and they're 8.5 inches wide. Everybody cool?
You just use inches.
Yeah. Because that's how long, that's how big the paper is, Nino. But
They don't advertise.
I don't know the number in centimeters.
I'll calculate that.
You go ahead.
So it's 11 by 8 inches.
You 8.5 by 11. You take us away there. Anyways, 11 by 8.5. But the thickness is not a measurement that we are comfortable with giving. Yes? Right?
Yeah.
Everybody cool? So even though this is 3 dimensions, for our purposes, we consider it to have two dimensions, yes? Because it's a length and a width. Everybody cool with that? But technically, the only time it would have 2 dimensions is if I were to put it down on the desk. Then you could say it is covering on the desk 2 dimensions, a length and a width. Does everybody understand the difference? Yes? Okay. So, now for those of you who said this only has 2 dimensions, this piece of paper, that means that if I stacked 1,000 of them on top of each other, there would be no thickness, would there? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's kind of a philosophical discussion here. If you say this has no height, because it only has 2 dimensions, length and width, then if I stacked 1,000 of them on top of each other, I would have no height, would I? Because 1,000 times 0 is 0. But you are all well aware that if I stack 1,000 of these up on top of each other, what do I get?
A tower.
Yes, exactly. And that tower is the first shape we are going to discuss. A prism. Now, a prism is a 3D shape. And those dimensions are a length, a width, and a height. Is everybody cool with that? All right. Everyone's good? Okay. Now, when I say a definition, I want you to describe to me what a prism is. Now, when I ask this question of math students, I often get the wrong answer. So I'm going to just ask right now, what's a prism? Go. Somebody tell me. Aiden.
3D object that has 3 different dimensions.
A 3D object with 3 different dimensions. Okay. So that's a prism. That's 3D. It's got a length, a width, and a height. Is that a prism? You say yes. Does anybody agree? Does anybody disagree? Okay, I see lots of disagreement. Why isn't this a prism? Because it is indeed not a prism. I'm not saying this is not to put you down or anything. I'm saying this particular object in my hand is not a prism. Why do you think it's not a prism, TJ? You had your hand up. You must have a reason. What does a prism look like? It's triangular. Okay, so is this a prism? Yes or no? By TJ's definition, is that a prism? No, because TJ said prisms have to be triangular. Okay? One sec. Nino.
I thought prisms were usually had, when you're supposed to have even like when you're trying to get it, have 5 points, like corners, 5 corners.
No. Lexi. This is a prism. Why? Because this happens to be a rectangular prism. So now we know what a prism looks like, because that's usually what happens. Somebody says, it's like a cube, which isn't defining it. That's giving me an example of it. So, great. So now you know this is a prism. So describe it to me. What makes this a prism as opposed to this? Aiden.
It has equal sides.
What do you mean by equal sides? Because I'm looking at this side, and it sure as heck doesn't look like that side. Riley. It has 6 sides. So a prism has to have 6 sides. Okay, so if I had a wedge of cheese, would that be a prism? Okay. Sam, what do you got? A base. What do you mean it's got a base? Okay, so where's the bottom of this prism? Wherever I choose to make it. All right, so right now this is the bottom, right? What if I turn it this way? Then this is the bottom. What if I turn it that way? Now what's the bottom? So, okay. So, bottom and base can't mean the same thing, can they? Because you said base shape, and then you changed to bottom. And as soon as I turn it this way, it no longer has a bottom, does it? What if I turn it that way? Still no bottom. Cool? I'm aware of that, how hard it is to draw on a piece of paper. That's kind of where we're going with this. Okay? So Sam used two words, bottom and base. One of them we proved is not the right word. Which one? Bottom, because depending on how I hold it, it's got an infinite amount of bottoms, doesn't it? Infinite amount of bottoms. Anyway, right? So bottom's the wrong word. But I liked the word base. We'll come back to that. James, were you going to say something?
I forgot.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, so let me ask you this. What shape is that? Excellent. A rectangle. If I take that rectangle and put it like this on my hand, does it have a definite bottom now? Excellent. If I turn it around, that bottom will change. So let's change that definition to base. Do I have a base? What if I build on that base by putting another piece of paper on it? And another and another and another. What do I build? I build a prism. Cool? All a prism is an infinite stack of the same two-dimensional shape. Did it change? Is the shape I started with the same as the shape I ended with? Yes. So now we have a definition for it. It is two identical shapes separated by what? What kind of space in the middle? What is separating the top and the bottom? What shape? What shape? What shape? What shape? So it is two identical shapes separated by what? Is everybody cool with that definition? So now let's draw a couple. We're going to draw the easiest one. A rectangle prism. Draw a rectangle. Slightly down and to the right of it, draw just the L of another rectangle. Then connect the dots. How many dimensions in reality does that drawing have? One?
Real. Sorry, not you.
So if that thing was
Three. But on the
In reality, in the paper, it has two. It's got a length and a width, doesn't it? But it's representing the third dimension. How do we represent the third dimension? The diagonal lines. Everybody cool? That's a rectangular prism because it starts from a rectangle. This rectangle right here repeats going backwards. Everybody with me? Okay. What's the special kind of rectangle prism? It gets its own special name. Nope. It starts with a C. A cube. What's special about a cube? It's all the same, right? Every one of those sides repeats. Nick. Of course you can. I can't wait till next week. Go. Because next week I start the chart.
What's the shark?
You're only allowed to go to the bathroom from my class twice a week.
What?
Yeah, because this bothers me. Because sooner or later we're going to be doing difficult math and someone's going to come back and be like, no, are doing. I'm going to have to reteach it to them.
That's better than what happened to my sister in elementary.
Okay, that's one. Let me ask you this. What shape is this? Excellent. When I roll it up, what shape is it? So, is a cylinder a prism? What shape is that? What shape is that? Are those two circles the same shape? Are they identical shapes? Were they separated by a rectangle?
Oh,
How is it debatable? There's a circle. There's another circle. Are those identical shapes? No. This is not, court TV. This is a yes or no question. Is that circle the same as that circle?
Yes.
Okay. Is that circle and that circle separated by a rectangle.
Technically, yes. Or the reality is.
Yes. So is a cylinder a prism? Yes. It absolutely is. So we draw a cylinder by doing a squishy circle and a smiley face on the bottom and connecting the edges. And that is the shape that repeats. Because if I stack circles on them infinitely, I get a third dimension, don't I? Now, the last question is, we're not going to draw every kind of shape. Because could I take a stop sign, an octagon, and stack it on top of itself a million times and make a shape?
Yes.
Would that be a prism?
Yes.
Why? Because every side of the... What shape did I just say? Octagon, thank you, is a rectangle, right? Okay. The last one we're going to draw, and this is the confusing one. We're drawing it on purpose. The wedge of cheese. I love cheese, but only some kinds of cheese. Many, but not all. No, because blue cheese is rotten. What do you think the blue is? It's mold.
That's why it stinks.
Why do people eat yogurt? Yogurt is ruined milk. Yes.
It is?
Why do people put sour cream on their potatoes?
Because it tastes disgusting.
What do you think sour cream is? Sour cream. Okay.
So from now on,
You're a prophet.
Hey, you want to know what jello is?
I won't tell you what.
Take that.
We'll just carry on. Okay. So guys, can I have a triangular prism? Of course I can. Why? Because I start with that shape, that triangle, and if I stack it, I end up with that thing that you all said wasn't a prism, a wedge.
I like wedges.
Is it a wedge? Is it a prism? Is it a wedge? Yeah, it is a wedge, you idiot. You just said it was. Is it a prism? Of course it is. Now, I want to call back to all of your attention my good friend Sam there, who used two different words to describe the same thing. What were those words? Base and bottom. And we talked about how the bottom has to be wrong, doesn't it? Because depending on how you turn things around, the bottom can disappear, yes? Everyone agree? So we're not going to use the word bottom. We are, however, going to use the word base. What is, when I say something is the base, what does it mean?
The bottom.
Everybody says bottom, okay? Something that holds it up, okay? Nino.
I don't know. I guess like it's not. It doesn't have to be the bottom, but it has to be like the lowest.
Okay. Okay. Lowest point. What did you say, Isha? Foundation. Okay. Foundation is the answer that we are looking for here. Why? What is the foundation? What does that mean?
It's something you can build upon.
Yeah, it's something you build upon. Where the starting point, absolutely. All of these shapes, these prisms, share something. They are one of some shape repeated over and over. Go to the bathroom. Oh, okay. It was a weird time to put your hand up because it was a weird spot for a question, so I just assumed it was bathroom again. Go. Yeah. The wedge isn't. The wedge is the triangle shape, and then you draw another triangle out here, and they're connected by rectangles. There's a rectangle. There's a rectangle. There. Okay? I forgot to finish the drawing, Brianna. Thank you. I was looking, I was like, hoping nobody would notice it, but thanks. Now everybody knows that I screwed it up. That's okay. 1 sec, Aiden. I just have to finish that sentence. Isha, the base is the foundation. It's what we build from. All these prisms share something. There's the same shape over and over and over again. But notice it is not necessarily on the bottom. Base does not mean bottom. base shape means the shape we start from. Is everybody with me? So get that out of your head, the base as being the bottom. And here's another example of it. If I stand up, yes? You do have to do your test. We'll come back to this tomorrow. We'll come back to this tomorrow. It's actually a good spot to leave, because the next thing we're going to discuss is how prisms differ from pyramids. Oh, right. I gotta get that. I should, yeah.
Yeah, you always break it, Sam. It's because you're not very careful.
There's the next ones.
No, it's beat and you usually chuck it. And you're like, hey guys, check it out. I put it on my Instagram.
There's the next ones. And there's the end.